Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our next video talking about cyanotypes. If you'll remember, last class, or virtual class, we talked a little bit about the history of cyanotypes and what they were used for, and today we're going to talk about coating the paper, but I just wanted to remind you that this is what a cyanotype looks like. So it's a chemical solution that we put onto almost any surface. Some surfaces won't hold it. It takes a little bit of experimenting, but this is some watercolor paper that I've put the chemicals on and then put found objects on to expose. As you can see, I have some newsprint down. I am working in my kitchen, so the newsprint is protecting the nice counters that we have in our kitchen. And then I also have a pair of rubber gloves and my ponytail, because we want to make sure that we're not getting these chemicals in our hair, on our skin, or our clothes. They will stain. So I have my gloves on. We also are going to have two measuring cups. This small one is to measure the chemicals before pouring them in to mix them in this one here. We also have our two pre-mixed chemical solutions. Solution A is going to be our ferric ammonium citrate, and it's going to be a greenish color when we pour it. And this solution B is going to be our potassium ferricyanide. A paper towel and a couple different sizes of sponge brushes. We use sponge brushes for this process because they're cheap, so you're not going to have to worry about ruining your nice brushes, and also they absorb the liquid really well so that we can put a lot of it down on our paper, which is what we want. And then I have also, this one is a pre-masked off piece of watercolor paper. I'm using Arch's watercolor paper hot pressed. This paper has a lot of texture. It's thick. It'll hold up under the chemicals and the water, which is what we want. And I also have a few sheets of unmasked paper because I want to do one example with you where we're going to have the border and one where we're not, and see how those are different. So to mix the chemicals, I have again this small beaker, and I'm going to take that's solution B. We want to take solution A, and solution A is our ferric ammonium citrate, which again is going to be a green color. So I'm just going to give this a nice shake to make sure that there's no settlement in the bottom, and then I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Put the cap down. So I'm going to take the 3 teaspoon measure here at the bottom, if you can see that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure out my 3 teaspoons of solution A, and I'm going to swirl that around, and then I'm going to put the solution A into our bigger beaker here. I am in my kitchen, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse that beaker out really well so that I don't have any extra in there. And then again, we're going to screw the cap back on our first bottle because we don't want to knock it over and get it everywhere. And then we're going to take solution B, same thing, forgot to shake it. Going to give that a shake, open it up. And again, I'm going to find my 3 teaspoon measure on here. Going to screw our cap back on. Going to take this and see how this is more yellow and this solution A is a little bit more green. So we're going to go ahead and pour that in there. Again, I'm going to rinse out my beaker off camera. Put a little water in there because we're going to need some of that. And then I'm going to use just the back of a spoon because I can rinse that off really well. I'm just going to use that to mix this together. Make sure they're mixed really well. And then, so now we have, this is our cyanotype solution that we're going to put on our paper. We're going to take I'm going to use the piece with the masking tape first. I'm going to put that down. I have in my smaller beaker, I added just some clean water. And I'm going to use this medium-sized brush because I have a decent amount of space to cover. So I'm just going to dip that in the water first. And we just want to go up and down and then back and forth. And the reason that we wet the paper is so that the paper is already wet and it's easier for the chemicals to get into the fibers of the paper. Otherwise you would need more solution. So I'm going to squeeze out the extra water in my brush over my sink over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take our chemical solution. We're going to dip into there, and I'm just going to make sure that I get enough of it on my brush. And then this part's really important. You're going to want to go from side to side, and then you're also going to go up and down, and this again ensures that we're getting chemical into all of the fibers of the paper. So this one's ready, and you can see it's really wet. That's okay. So I'm just going to set this one aside, and that's with the masking tape. So then what we also can do is I'm going to use my smaller brush this time because the other one already has chemicals. I don't want to contaminate my water. But we can take this smaller brush and dip it into our clean water and do the same thing side to side, up and down, to get our paper wet. And then we'll take our brush loaded with our chemical, and again, side to side, up and down. And you can see with this I don't have a border, so it's going to keep those edges, and that can make some really cool compositional effects as well. So we're going to go side to side and up and down. And then the next step before we can actually print is that we have to store these somewhere dark to dry. So I am actually going to store these in my bathroom. I'm going to put them in my bathtub again with some newsprint. I'm going to let them dry overnight. And next time we will talk about how to then take these coated sheets of paper and actually make our images. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good afternoon.